good, everybody? Welcome in to the Early Edge and our Week 8 NFL Props Extravaganza. We do it every single Friday at this time, 4 p.m., right here on this very channel. Now, as you know, a couple of months ago, Props became live on SportsLine, so we have a ton there. This is kind of the liaison to what we have all over there at SportsLine. Now, last week, not our best week, although Proppy had a phenomenal week, 3-2 here on the show, but a 13-3 week in props on SportsLine. So we're going to bounce back today. So let's bring in the stars of the show. You know him, you love him, and Uncle Dave is on assignment today. So it's only going to be the three. EC, what in the world are you doing?
Listen, Coach, it was a long night last night. When you get in the club, I mean, Proppy knows, you know, Sia knows, AB knows, Phil does not know. You know, we stay out late and we pop bottles, and this is what we do. But you know what, Coach? Let me tell you something. I am the people's capper for a reason. My picks have been lousy. I pulled an all-nighter to stay up and research these picks. And you know what? I need to make Proppy proud. I need to make Uncle Dave proud. You, not so much. But we're going at it today. I am ready. I have my water here. I've been using it all morning. Game on.
Do you have a headache?
You think?
I do. I have a headache now after that.
You know how expensive last night was for me?
Hey, it's kind
I bought everybody in the club drinks.
Well, and see, that's where you messed up. You walked in and you wanted to make everybody your friend, just like when I used to hang out with Ric Flair. He used to do that same thing all the time. Do you know what I told Ric Flair? I said, take a picture. They'll be your friend just the same. So take a picture. Just the same. Now,
nobody wants a picture with me.
Take a little drink of your water because I got to handle some business over here with Proppy. Because Proppy, I just said you were 13-3 across all your plays on SportsLine, which means that you get the 15 seconds to start the show. Anything you want. Floor is yours.
I appreciate that, Coach. Yeah, I just wanted to say how excited I am, obviously, to be here halfway through the season. I feel very good about the way things are trending. Also, I wanted to give a shout-out to our guy, Uncle Dave. I know he's on assignment today, but I adore Uncle Dave. I will miss him dearly today, both his useful information and his levity that he provides to the show. So if you're watching, Uncle Dave, shout out, my guy. You're the man. We all miss you very much.
We miss him very. Just a second. Phil, EC just said, oh, I guess I don't even need to text him because the chat is taking care of it for me. Phil does not know. Phil does not know. He's going to get a little notification. EC, are you scared that Coach Phil is going to figure out that you talk trash without him on the show?
Not at all. This is what we do. Phil's got to learn. You got to be better than 0 for 24.
Wow, Snake, clip that last 10 seconds. Wow, you got to be better than 0 for 24. All right. Well, when my man has barely been up 3-4 hours, when he's got the glasses on in the water, we want to ease into things this week. So, no, don't put them back on. Don't put them back on. I need to see your
right
eye.
in here. It's right in here.
We divide this show into several different categories. We don't go through every single game. We go to where the guys see the value. And leave it to you, EC, to start the show with a field goal kicker.
Hey, Coach, I just need wins where I can get them. Are you kidding me? It's been a rough go lately. But you know what? Younghoe Koo is going to turn it around for us this week. His over 1.5 made field goals is minus 125. Now listen to this. Tennessee in 6 games. This is how many field goals, successful field goals they've allowed. 3-3, 2-1, 3, and 6. They've given up, what is that, 18 made field goals in 6 games? Something like that? 19 made field goals? I mean, that is absolutely crazy. Younghoe Koo has double-digit field goals in 4 of 7 games. And you know what, guys? I think this Tennessee-Atlanta game has the makings of we don't score a lot of touchdowns. We get outside the red zone. We kick some field goals. Both offenses aren't great, so scoring trips should be at a premium. Younghoe Koo is getting multiple field goals in Tennessee on Sunday.
All right. So our first best bet of the week is a field goal kicker. It's kind of like an under for me. The only way I like it if it cashes. All right, EC, hang tight. Proppy, I'm coming to you in a second. But as you know, we are about, 8 weeks into our new relationship with BetMGM, and we could not be happier. So many different offerings that they have for so many different games. But you got to sign up to play. So new BetMGM customers can sign up today, right now, and get $200 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you will receive $200 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE200. That's bonus code EDGE200. Now, we're just getting started. We got to divide things up a little bit differently today. And tomorrow, if you haven't watched our college football mega preview, it's in your feed live right now. I encourage you to do so. And we have a big-time doubleheader on CBS.
Saturday starts big, then SEC rivals clash. First at noon, the Hoosiers visit Happy Valley to take on the Nittany Lions. Then, will the Gators take a chomp out of top dog Georgia's march toward history? Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
Scott in the chat says, hey, Coach, can EC even see with those glasses on? He looks like a guy who's shocked to get into the club. So I need to know real quick, what was it like when you were sitting on your couch? Because it's so important to you, watching the game, hoping, praying you'd get that first. What was that like for you, EC?
You know what, Coach? Actually, the way I found out I was in the club is because I got a text from none other than Proppy that told me that I was in the club. I was so resigned to the fact that I wasn't going to be that I said, I'll pick it up in the second half. I know I'm going to lose. And Proppy texted me, so thank you for making my night last night and letting me know I got in the club.
That is hashtag, even though Peggy, our girl Peggy, congratulates you, that is embarrassing. The entire crew was watching the game live, and you did not. And yet you were the one that got the gym. Embarrassing from the word go. I'll deal with you in a second. But Proppy, let's head to the rushing props. And there's a name that you absolutely love. He is a rookie, but he is a big-time stud. Now, there was some controversy last week because the little bit of an investigation, he really didn't see the ball at all. But you think this week, a bounce back. Give me your first two.
Yeah, Coach, we're talking about Bijan Robinson. I'm going to go over 46.5 rushing yards. I want to clarify this is the number that I gave out on the site. If I didn't feel like it was presently playable, I would not be giving it out here. So just factor that into all the picks that I give out. You'll see some disparities regarding the numbers that I give out, where they might be on your book in real time. But I love this spot as a potential buy low for Bijan. We saw last week just handled one touch for 3 yards on the final drive of the game for Atlanta. Completely inexplicable. Turns out that Bijan was dealing with migraines. He had no injury designation coming into the game, so it was a complete shock. The Falcons are under investigation for his usage. Arthur Smith does not seem to realize why that was an issue, but moving forward, Bijan, he's practicing full all week. I expect a full allotment of touches. He is their best player. He is the cornerstone of their franchise. He's facing a Titans defense that, in my opinion, is a little bit overrated, especially their run defense. You also have to wonder, trading Kevin Byard, arguably their best player, how motivated and inspired this defense is going to be. This game projects to be low scoring, which, in my opinion, benefits Bijan and the run game. I really think the Falcons are going to be able to establish the run here. I expect him to have at least 14 to 15 rushing attempts. I also like his rushing attempts line, actually, that I believe you can find between 12.5 and 13.5, but I definitely prefer the yards here because of Bijan's upside. So absolutely love him this week. Probably my favorite prop on the board, to be honest. And then I'm going to go over to another dynamic rookie running back, Coach. Monday Night Football, we're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, over 64.5 rushing yards. David Montgomery has yet to practice. I don't think he has pretty much any chance of playing in this game. It's going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs show. He's had 2 starts this season without Montgomery on the field. He handled 17 touches and 20 touches, even eclipsed this total last week, despite the team getting absolutely blown out by the Ravens. Now they're playing the Raiders, who are one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. It's a get-right spot for these very good, in my opinion, Detroit Lions. Their offensive line is phenomenal. They're going to open up a ton of open running lanes for Gibbs. I also think we're going to get some closing line value here because as soon as Montgomery is ruled out, whether that comes today or tomorrow or even potentially Sunday, this is going to shoot up 5 to 7 yards easily. So I love both rookie running backs this week, specifically in their rushing yards.
All right, let's be clear on Bijan. You have 46.5. What would you play it up to?
I'm comfortable playing this up to 52.5. I also like his alt lines as well. I think he has a chance to potentially go triple digits.
Okay, what about Gibbs? What would you play this up to?
Gibbs, I'm comfortable playing this one up to 67, 68.5.
All right, very, very good. Now, we have a very, very smart person that is watching the show right now. His name's Bobby. And in the chat, he says, I think Coach should be on the MGM promo instead of Jamie Foxx. Bobby, I agree. Snakes some calls. This whole Jamie Foxx nonsense needs to go to the side. We need the big boy up there. Stat. Now, EC, I'm coming back to you because this guy, when he gets in the open, boy, is he dynamic. Boy, is he fun to watch. And boy, can he get this number in one play if he needs to. Who am I talking about?
Well, he did in week 1, Coach, against the Bills. I think it was his first touch of the year. Breece Hall, we're playing over 68.5 rushing yards at minus 125 against the Giants. So last week was actually the first time all season that the Giants did not allow a running back to exceed this total. That doesn't say a heck of a lot considering the Commanders' running backs are Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Yuck. The Giants rank bottom 3 in rushing yards allowed and yards per carry allowed to running backs on the year, and they have allowed the 5th highest explosive run rate. So as Coach mentioned, we should see a long run or two from Breece Hall this week. He played 66% of the snaps against Philadelphia 2 weeks ago before the bye. Dalvin Cook is out in the public whining that he's not going to play. Guess what? You aren't going to play. Breece Hall's going to play 75% or more of the snaps. He's going to get up to 20 carries if game flow is correct. I would play this. You're going to think I'm crazy? I'd play it up to 100 yards. That's how confident I am. I think Breece Hall over 68.5 seems like it's too easy if he stays healthy. No injuries, please.
You are crazy like a fox, EC. Up to 100. You see 30 yards of value. I'd love to see if that happens. All right, we're going to stay in the rushing category, and I'm coming right back to you, Proppy, because you like one name in 2 different ways. Talk to me.
Yeah, we're talking about Javonte Williams, Coach. First, we're going to go with his rushing line as well. Over 46.5 rushing yards. Javonte Williams looks healthier and healthier every single week. Coming off his best performance of the season, handled 15 carries, went for 80-plus yards against the Green Bay Packers. Also, he had his highest snap share. He played over 50% of the snaps for the first time this season. He is Denver's best offensive player, and he is rounding into form. So I absolutely love this spot for him at only 46.5 yards. The Chiefs, Coach, as we know, they have a good defense, undoubtedly, but they are vulnerable up the middle a bit, and their run defense struggles. So I love this spot for Javonte Williams, north of 46.5 rushing yards. I play this one up to 52.5 yards here. I also like his combination line. I like his rushing attempts line, which I believe is 10.5. All in on Javonte this week, which leads me to my next prop, which you can find specifically on DK, which is a head-to-head rushing matchup of Javonte Williams versus a former Chief, Kareem Hunt. And you can basically bet on who will have more rushing yards. Again, love this spot for Javonte. As far as Kareem Hunt is concerned, he is facing a Seattle Seahawks defense, which is elite against the run. They shut down opposing running backs. Kareem Hunt has been completely inefficient this season, sub 3.5 yards per carry. He's really not getting utilized much either as well. And then Jerome Ford may even end up playing this week. He ended up practicing today, went from doubtful to questionable. There's a very strong chance he ends up suiting up, and Kareem Hunt will have that backup role, the RB2 on the team. And even if Ford doesn't suit up, they have Pierre Strong, who's been more effective than Kareem Hunt, who I really don't think they want to give more than 10-plus carries to. So love this spot. Javonte head-to-head against Kareem Hunt. All he has to do is have one additional rushing yard, and then Javonte's props, with my favorite being his pure rushing line of 46.5, but play it up to 51, 52.5.
The one thing we've seen with Javonte Williams is usually their game script is either behind or a high-scoring affair, sort of. And a lot of the defenses play too deep, don't they, to allow that wide-open space, which is kind of what the Chiefs do too, correct?
Absolutely, Coach. And Denver, as we've seen too, they're comfortable running the football when they're trailing from behind. So, they're highly conservative, and they're just trying to get positive plays. And he's probably the only player on that can consistently produce positive plays. So, I agree, Coach.
And at least this week, Russell Wilson was all focused. Do you guys see that he rented out an entire Waffle House for his wife's birthday? Way to go fancy, Russell. It's actually.
Did he invite any of his teammates, Coach?
I think it was just the two of them. Okay. I think they danced right next to the cash register. I don't know. So here's the deal. Scott in the chat wants to know about the combo line propy of Bijan. Have you looked at it? Do you like that as well?
Yeah, I do like that as well. To me, his receiving yards, they're 27.5. They're built in around 30 if we're playing the combination line. That, to me, is accurate and efficient. So I would definitely lean over there because I feel like there is a large edge to be had on his rushing line, but I prefer the rushing line, particularly just because it's so discounted, whereas I feel his receiving line is fairly efficient. So definitely lean over on it. Probably going to play it in some capacity, but prefer the rushing a bit more than the combo line.
All right. Douglas in the chat says, props, name the team these guys are playing for. Douglas, he did. You need to listen. He said the Broncos and the Browns. Got to listen. He said them. But moving forward, we absolutely will. We'll take that into account. Thank you, Douglas. All right. Now, EC, I know you've been sitting there. You got two more coming, but not before. We got to get our juices flowing just a little bit, because when I look at the slate that we have this weekend on CBS, couldn't be more excited.
We can't wait for a showdown in the Steel City. Let's go! And an epic matchup out west. All hail Sunday. The NFL is on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
I tell you what, all three of those late games have sneaky, really good game potential. They really, really do. Bengals off an off week. Cardinals are a little bit better, I think, than people think. Ravens were awesome last week. Then you got the Chiefs and the Broncos. So can't wait for the doubleheader on Sunday. Now, EC, let's head to the receiving props. And I got to tell you, Dallas Goedert, he has really been cashing tickets. So if you need to get off the schneid, that's a pretty good name to fall on. Give me two.
Yeah, I had to roll with Goddard this week, Coach. I was looking at A.J. Brown because he has 5 straight games over 125 yards, but probably might have some kind of an idea of what to do in the Eagles passing game as well. But I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert over 39.5 receiving yards at -120. Since week 5, among 42 qualifying tight ends, Goddard ranks 9th in target share, over 19%, and 4th in first read share, more than 25%. Since week 5, by the way, the Commanders have not been very good against tight ends. They've given up 3 over 40 yards receiving, and 4 of them have scored a touchdown. So on top of this prop, I would also play Goddard to score a touchdown if you want to do some SGPs or whatnot. Darren Waller last week, in a much worse offense for the Giants, went 7 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown against the Commanders last week. And Goddard is over this number in 4 of 7 this year, including 3 straight games. Let's roll with the over 39.5. and hopefully take it to the bank. And another one here. Now, I played this, I think, in week 3. Jaylen Warren over 19.5 receiving yards at -110. The Jaguars have surrendered at least one running back over this receiving total in 6 straight weeks, including twice against Indianapolis with Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor in week 6. Warren is over this number in 4 of 6 games. And I think game flow should benefit him, as I actually like Jacksonville to win the game, and Pittsburgh should be playing catch-up. Warren has played between 43 and 49% of the snaps since week 2, and he has about a little over 13% target share, which is pretty darn good for a backup running back. I absolutely love this number. I'd play it up to 25, maybe even 30 if you want to play an alt line. So let's roll with these 2 receiving props, Coach.
All right, I like him. I feel like, just like Big Cheesy says, I feel like this is going to be your week. You start Thursday night getting into the club. Now you're feeling good. You're getting the water in your system. I feel pretty good about you this week. Now, I've been you're good. You're good. Now, one of my best bets, you guys know it's early edge against pick 6, and I'm actually crushing Will Brinson. Crushing. 4-1 week for me last week. Now, I hit last night with the Bucks. What's new? but the Eagles. The Eagles are one of my best bets this week. -6.5. Are you kidding me? It's not over a touchdown? Big Cheesy in the chat says, I like Javonte Smith this week. Proppy, do you agree with him?
Cheesy, my man, I'm on the same page with you. I love Javonte Smith this week, especially getting him at 48.5 receiving yards. This is just a massive, massive discount for Javonte Smith, who's routinely at worst in the high 50s, low 60s. This is just a fantastic spot for him going against a Commanders pass defense. It's absolutely dreadful. They're bottom 5 in coverage grade. They're bottom 5 in EPA allowed per dropback. They've given up the second and third most yards to opposing wide receivers in the NFL this season on a per game basis as well. Javonte Smith has elite route participation. He has run more routes relative to any wide receiver in the NFL this year. He is not coming off the field. Couple that with the fact that the Eagles are actually passing at a higher rate this season than they were last year. There are just natural ebbs and flows, and he has been in one of those sort of flows or ebbs or whatever you want to call it, but the production is coming. He is a sleeping giant, in my opinion. This matchup is fantastic. The Commanders have given up more 15-yard plus plays than any team or any defense in the NFL this season. Smith has the largest ADOT of any receiver or pass catcher on this Eagles team. So this matchup just sets up beautifully for Javonte Smith. We're getting a significant discount on his line. This, in fact, is my favorite play of the week. You will realize that if you are a SportsLine subscriber. So yeah, love Javonte Smith, love his longest reception, love his alt totals. Obviously love him at 48.5 receiving yards. This is just a huge smash spot for the very talented former Heisman winner.
Edwin in the chat says, Brown is way too hot right now. Now he is 10 catches, $137 last week, but this is all about the matchup, correct, Proppy?
Absolutely. So a couple things to that point, Coach, is it doesn't matter what's happened in the past. That really does not affect what's going to happen in this game. Coupled with the fact that Eagles have such a hyper-condensed target distribution, what I mean by that is Jalen Hurts throws to A.J. Brown, Javonte Smith, Dallas Goedert, and that is pretty much it. You'll routinely see two of these three, often even all three of them, eclipsing their totals. So it's completely, if you like A.J. Brown and you like Dallas Goedert, I like them both. I prefer Goddard a little bit because of his number. All three are more than capable of eclipsing their total. Not many teams have such a condensed target distribution. So A.J. Brown is certainly hot. I completely understand wanting to back him here, but this is a spot. I've been doing this for a living for close to 10 years that I have made my career on backing spots like this. So take Javonte Smith.
And to back up Proppy's point, last week, 23 completions. How many do you think, EC, was Brown, Javonte Smith, or Dallas Goedert out of 23?
I would say at least 17.
19. 19 out of 23 to the three guys that Proppy just talked about. And there's always new people joining every single day, checking out all our different shows. There's little tells that you can tell when Proppy really loves a play. If he starts to speed up, if his hand shoots up, that's when you know you love it. Jared says it best. Proppy got fired up. That's an auto tail. It's very, very simple. Don't overthink it. Now, speaking of flowers, I got to give some to my man Buckets, who is in the chat right now. Him and Proppy running for president in 2024. Buckets has already cashed 2 tickets today, both in the first half. One in the first 30 minutes. That's hashtag next level capping right there. You have any NFL questions? He's perfect in the NFL too. Ask him. He'll answer them in real time. It's true. He's perfect. All right. We got one more left. And wouldn't you know it, EC's trying to get on my good side. He's going straight to my Kansas City Chiefs, who have not lost since opening night to Detroit. And they've decided that in the backfield, they'll throw a couple other guys in there. But it's now number 10's turn to be the main dish, to be the main guy. What do you like this week?
You would think, Coach, that I learned my lesson as to not bet against anything Chiefs related, as to keep my wallet higher than it was last week. That was not good with Herbert. We're going to roll with Isiah Pacheco over 83.5 rushing plus receiving yards at minus 115. So in week 6, I actually played his rushing total on Thursday night against the Broncos, and it fell short because he had 6 catches for 36 yards, which pushed him to 98 total yards. Now, in the last 2 games, Pacheco has 10 targets. He only had 11 before that. Mahomes is getting more comfortable with him coming out of the backfield as far as a receiver. We know how bad the Broncos' run defense is, but just in case you need a refresher, they're allowing the highest explosive run rate, the 3rd highest missed tackles per attempt, and the 2nd highest yards after contact per attempt. That is all dreadful for the Broncos' rush defense. Green Bay last week, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon combined for 28 touches for 152 yards. This Broncos defense has surrendered 194 total yards to Breece Hall in week 5, 122 to Khalil Herbert in week 4, and don't even ask me to add up all the Dolphins' yards, 441 on 51 touches from running backs in week 3. Isiah Pacheco will get over 100, so I would play this up to that number. I have a feeling they're going to use him early and often, give him at least 15 carries on the ground, and let's say 3 or 4 receptions, and I think he can get close to 100 yards, if not above, with those amount of touches.
And once again, that game is part of a doubleheader this Sunday right on our network, CBS. Very difficult question by Vinny in the chat. He asked Buckets, are you going to go with Einhorn or Finkel? If you're old enough, you know. If you're not, can't wait to see Buckets seriously answer that question, and I will absolutely fall off my chair. If you don't know, then you don't know. All right, real quick, because we have a couple of extra minutes, and we are in week 8. And I always say this is kind of a rubber meets the road. So as professional handicappers, I'll start with you, Proppy. When you get to this point in the season, and you look at guys, and there's injuries, and there's guys that like a Bijan Robinson who we didn't know until after the game had issues. Is there anything or any way that you attack things for the second half of an NFL season?
Yeah, so this is kind of usually generally the height of my betting volume. As the season progresses, the books become sharper and sharper. As a result, my volume starts to decrease. I feel like the edges are far more minute, and the books just have a much better understanding of target distribution and just sort of where these potential spots are, value spots are. So yeah, basically for the next 3 to 5 weeks, I will still probably be between 10, 15 picks per week. But then once we get weeks 14, 15, 16, 17, you'll see a noticeable drop off. I feel like at that stage of the season, the books have a very strong grasp of sort of how things have shook out, the roles are very clearly defined at that stage of the season. Come the playoffs, the lines are extremely sharp, and that's applicable to props, specifically props, in my opinion. So yeah, I would just say as the season progresses, just be careful, kind of understand that the books are becoming a lot sharper, and as a result, just kind of be cautious.
And as far as basketball is concerned, DC, you're going to be doing a lot of that for us this year. How are you going to divide up now that NBA has started and college basketball will start in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, Coach, I'm really excited for college basketball. My Wildcats have a ridiculous non-conference schedule. So, hey, we just got to, when you see a line that's good, or when I see a line that's good, I'm going to put it on the site, and we're going to play it as we see it. Now, it's hard when in the non-conference season, I try to lay a little bit lower there just because we have to field teams out. Once conference season begins, that's when the plays come in. Fortunately, that is after the NFL regular season and after college football season is complete. That is when I will ramp up college basketball.
And finally, Ramondre Stevenson. They're asking all about him in the chat. Proppy, have you looked at any of his stuff this week?
Yeah, I'd lean over on Ramondre. I was encouraged by the performance last week. I definitely think that he is getting going a little bit. So I would lean over on his props. I would definitely look at his combination line versus his rushing line just because of his utilization as a wide receiver, coupled with playing from behind against this Miami Dolphins team that's obviously has an explosive offense, and you would expect New England to be trailing there. So, yeah, I'd lean over on his props.
All right, very good. You guys know this business is all about information. It's all about numbers, but it's also about gut feel, and we want you to be a part of what we're doing. All that great information you just heard, you can get all of it, way more articles, simulations, everything for every sport at SportsLine. And if you're not a member yet, I'm going to do you a solid right here, right now. Use the promo code COACH, my name. I'll give you 60% off a quarterly plan. That is the 3-month. Don't tweet me and say, Coach, it doesn't work. Hit the 3-month plan. QR code or sportsline.com/join. Also, do not forget, we're back on Sunday, 2 big shows. Noon Eastern time, we break down every 1 o'clock game, every 4 o'clock game, and then, of course, prime time, early edge, counting down to Sunday Night Football. EC, you are now part of our club. And, I can't wait for Sunday night. Coach Phil is going to be in a bad mood because he is the only one standing outside on the street. That's all we got to say. All right. Have a great weekend. Here is the picks that we're going to recap. Since it's different, I'm going to let all my guys, one line, each play, go through their own. EC, let's start with you.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert over 39.5 receiving yards. Feel pretty good about that one. Eagles offense should move the ball plenty against the Commanders. Jalen Warren over 19.5 receiving yards. Jaguars, I think, have given it up 6 weeks in a row of a running back to go over that, and Warren playing nearly 50% of the snaps. Breece Hall over 68.5 rushing yards, played up to 100. Isiah Pacheco over 83.5 combined rushing and receiving yards. I actually would play this one almost up to 100. I expect to see him get 20 or more touches or right around there. And finally, Younghoe Koo over 1.5 field goals. The Titans are giving up field goals in droves. I expect at least 3 attempts from Koo.
And before you say, it's a field goal prop, guess what? At the pay window, they don't look at your ticket. They just cash it. Proppy, talk to me.
Yeah, we've got Devontae Smith over 48.5 receiving yards. There is some serious squeaky wheel gets the grease narrative here with Devontae. I expect him to be peppered with targets and what is a fantastic matchup. Love him. I played this one up to 52 or 53.5 receiving yards. Then we got Bijan Robinson over 46.5 rushing yards. Get right spot for him after that inexplicable, bizarre situation we saw last week. He's practicing in full this week. He is healthy. He's going to receive a full complement of snaps. Love this spot for him against what I think is an overrated Titans run defense as well. I played this one up to 51.5 rushing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs over 64.5 rushing yards. It is going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs show for Detroit. In my opinion, they have the best run blocking line in the NFL. They are facing a Raiders run defense that is absolutely dismal. He is going to run roughshod over them as Detroit gets back on track after getting embarrassed. And then Javonte Williams over 46.5 rushing yards. He is rounding into form. He looks healthy. He looks explosive. He's playing a Chiefs team that's a good defense, but they are a little bit vulnerable up the middle. And I also like Javonte Williams head-to-head rushing prop against Kareem Hunt. You can find this on a specific sports book and select Javonte Williams here to have more rushing yards than Kareem Hunt. And then last but not least, I wanted to point out, as far as EC props are concerned, I really like that Breece Hall look. I expect him to have a huge game on the ground. Breece Hall is absolutely fantastic, dynamic, one of the best young players in the NFL.
The Proppy stamp of approval is always good to have, no matter who you are. 2 quick questions, one for Proppy. Jay Kane says, will Proppy have any more NFL props coming out on SportsLine before Sunday? Just doing a wallet check real quick.
A ton, my guy. I will have a ton. I'll probably have, I would estimate between 5 to 10 more picks. A lot of those will be posted to the site on SportsLine between now and Sunday. I will also have the analysis for some of those picks on our Sunday kickoff preview stream, which you can see at noon Eastern.
And for you tonight, Charlotte FAU in college football, EC.
Yeah, I'm going to lean FAU. Charlotte's terrible, coach. Let me just say one other thing from the morning show. I absolutely loved that Chip and Sia giving a shout out to my Wildcats. That was beautiful. And by the way, one last thing about Proppy. Not only does he give out all these NFL props, it was on the site today, a lot of NBA props tonight from Proppy as well that were very helpful when I was putting together some parlays earlier today. So thanks, Proppy.
You got to end the show on a negative. Got to end the show on a negative. Oh, and by the way, speaking of the NBA, I'm 2 for 2 in my overplays on HQ to start the season. And we're on another over tonight. Play overs through November. Then when guys start getting tired, injured, back off a little bit until we get later in the season. That's what I do. And it seems to work for me. Okay. All right, gentlemen, well done today. Uncle Dave, I know you're watching as you prepare for your next of 8 shows today. We miss you. We'll look forward to having you back here next week. Now, with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these prop tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, love them all. Proppy, EC, Snake always doing the hardest work behind the scenes. You guys have no idea. My name is the coach. I'm just trying to get this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. Remember, knowledge is power. Hashtag educate, entertain. That's what we do every single day right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.